All right, this is Mr. Wyrick. I'm going to be going through this Unit 3 District Assessment Review with you. You should be able to use this review on your test, so it might be a good idea to write some of this stuff down. When we're finding the midpoint of a segment, we're going to add our x's together. So that's 6 plus a -1. That should give us 5. And then we're going to divide by 2. That gives us 2.5 for the x value. And then we've got 7 and -1 for the y values. 7 minus 1 is going to be 6. Divide that by 2, I get 3. So 2.5, 3 should be my midpoint of that segment. So then on the next one, it says dilated by a scale factor. Normally when we have a scale factor that we are dilating by, that's going to be something that we multiply by. But when we look at this one, if we make this line longer, and if we make this line longer, or if we make this line shorter and make this line shorter, we are not changing that angle. So if you do have any kind of dilation by a scale factor, it's not going to change the measure of the angle. The measure of the angle is still 104 degrees. Solving for x on this one, I'm just going to kind of show you the setup. I won't go ahead and go through the answer. We come across from here. This is my opposite side. We come out from our 90-degree angle. This is our hypotenuse. Then the last one is the adjacent side. If we're doing adjacent and hypotenuse, we have the SOHCAHTOA. So if we have adjacent and hypotenuse, that's going to be cosine on this one. So the cosine of that 32-degree angle is equal to the adjacent side of x over the hypotenuse of 4.9. Since the x is on the top, we're just going to multiply. So this should be 4.9 times the cosine of 32. You need to make sure your calculator is in degree mode if you're going to do that. So if I'm doing that up here in Desmos, again, it's this wrench over here. But I think you're doing this in the lockdown browser, so you might not have Desmos, but let's go ahead and get the answer anyway. 4.9 cosine of 32. It should be 4.08. Let me go ahead and make sure. Oh, I was in radians. Here's degrees. Doesn't change it a lot, does change it. That's 4.15. So we're going to call this one 4.2. Okay, on the back of this page, solve for x again. Here's my angle. I come across. This is my opposite side. I come across from this. This is my hypotenuse. The adjacent is the one with nothing on it. Opposite and hypotenuse, I've got my SOHCAHTOA. Okay, this is going to be sine because it's opposite and hypotenuse. The sine of 56 is equal to the opposite side of x over the hypotenuse of 86. Once again, the x on top, I'm going to multiply. That's 86 times the sine of 56. So I go 86 sine of 56. And there it is, 71.29. So I'm going to call this one 71.3. Here's my right triangle. Remember, it's little is to big as little is to big. This is going to be our geometric mean. So 3 is to x as x is to 27. Those are equal, so we're going to cross multiply. We get x times x, which is x squared, and 27 times 3 is going to be 81. I take the square root, so I have to think what number times itself will make 81. That should be 9. On my next one, solve for x again. I've got my angle. I come across here. This is the opposite side. I go out from my 90. Here's my hypotenuse. This last one is my adjacent, so it's opposite and adjacent. I've got my SOHCAHTOA. So on this one, it's opposite and adjacent. That's going to be tangent. So the tangent of that 72-degree angle is equal to my opposite side over my adjacent. All of these so far, I've had the x on the top. It's a little worrying, but again, I'm just going to multiply. This is 13 times the tangent of 72. So I go 13 times the tangent of 72, and it gives me 40.009. So we're just going to call this one 40. Okay. Solve for x. This one you should be able to just draw a line straight across like this. So 11.3 over 7.5 is equal to 6.8 over x. I cross multiply, so I'm going to calculate this one. 7.5 times 6.8 is going to give me 51. So 51 is equal to 11.3x. Then I'm going to divide by 11.3. So 51 divided by 11.3 is going to give me 4.513. Nearest tenth is 1 decimal place. So 4.5 is going to be what I'm looking for there. Proportionality is kind of a big deal. Okay, triangle KLM is similar to NOP. Find OP. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. So again, I've got something here. I have KM. That would be 1 and 3. Up here, the first and third letters. So I need NP to match up to that. So 8 over 35. Little triangle over the big triangle. Okay, so I've got 8 over 35 is equal to, and it's going to be the only other sides I have here, but that's 3 and 2 and 3 and 2. So that's 13 over x. I cross multiply. 8x is equal to, this is going to be 35 times 13. And that's 455. So this is not quite going to come out even. 455 divided by 8. Oops, got to go to a new one. 455 divided by 8 is going to give me 56.875. So to the nearest tenth, that's going to be 56.9. Okay. Right triangle is dilated by a scale factor of 1/2. That means we're multiplying by 1/2. So half of 78 is going to be 39. Times 1/2. Half of 30 is going to be 15. Times 1/2. Half of 72 is going to be 36. Okay. So for this one, I just cut everything in half. But whatever the scale factor is, that's what you are multiplying by. So just make sure you always multiply. Given the following conjectures, choose the statement below that best provides a counterexample that proves the conjecture is false if possible. If a shape has 4 sides, then it is a square. I can draw a parallelogram that has 4 sides. It is not a square, so that would prove it wrong. A rectangle would also prove that wrong. You could have a rhombus, and a rhombus would prove it wrong. So many things up here could prove it wrong. Any kind of quadrilateral that exists that's not a square is going to make that wrong. Okay, and that should be it. That should be everything on the review. You should have a paper copy. I've posted a copy in Schoology if you need it. So everything should be there. Good luck on your test.